Hi, Stevo again, and I hope I didn't insult anyone. The last video that I made about Ilhan Omar, it's just frustrating that there are still people who judge people because they're different in this country, and I guess I'm very passionate about it. And if I insulted anyone on YouTube or on Twitter, I humbly apologize. I don't mean to hurt anyone. I don't mean to insult anyone. But I guess that's what, Bill Maher once said, that's what Donald Trump has got us into, is that we're just angry, you know. Donald Trump has made the good people angry. And maybe that's a good thing, because when you get angry, eventually you do something about your community. And maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that's a good idea, to be angry, is to do something positive in your community, and to be active in your community, and to vote in November 3rd. And I know I talk about the Trump turds a lot. Um, Maybe just being, I guess I get a little too obsessed with them, you know. And the Trump turds they're people who vote against their own interests. And I think that's sad. When Bernie Sanders came out, before Donald Trump came out, in 2015 or whatever, and Bernie Sanders was talking about the rights of workers' rights and everything. And, the Trump turds were willing to listen to Bernie Sanders. And then Trump came out, and then they listened to Trump more than Bernie Sanders. Because what they heard of Trump is what they hear from Fox News and Rush Limbaugh and Breitbart, and they were familiar with what Trump was saying. And it's very strange that people vote against their own interests. It's very strange that people vote against their own interests. And I think that's what they did when they just believed in the horse shit that Bernie Sanders is a Marxist, he's a communist and all that. And he's not a communist, he's not a Marxist. We've been down that rabbit hole. And I don't want to explain that again and again and again. And that's the problem with Americans. And I think a lot of people around the world are saying, why don't these Americans get their heads out of their asses? People of Germany consider, and people in Canada and England, they consider Bernie Sanders a moderate Democrat. They consider Bernie Sanders a moderate Democrat. What's wrong with us Americans? And I think there are countries around the world that look at us like, what is wrong with you people? Here you got a person like Bernie Sanders who he's similar to other people in Scandinavian countries, and Germany and Canada and England, and you're not even listening to Bernie Sanders. And you actually believe that Bernie Sanders is a communist and this and that. And people, these Trump turds, these 35% of the Trump turds, they voted for Trump because they believed that Bernie Sanders was a communist. AOC is a communist. Ilhan Omar is a communist. And they voted for authoritarian like Donald Trump. And what did Donald Trump do? He gave billions of dollars to his friends. He gave billions of dollars to corporate farmers during the pandemic. These corporations, these American corporations during this pandemic are making more money than they've ever made in years, thanks to Donald Trump. So there are people that vote against their own interests. And people vote out of anger. People vote out of selfishness when they should see the big picture. When you vote, you should see the big picture. You shouldn't see, it's me, 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 me. I'm going to vote for me. Why don't you vote for your community? Why don't you vote for instead of thinking about yourself, see the bigger picture of society. Vote for people who don't look like you. Vote for people who if you get to know people in other areas than where you live, you'll understand how people live. That there is poverty, that there is racism, that there is misogyny, that there is xenophobia in this country. And you start to vote out of compassion. You start to vote not just thinking about yourself, but thinking about other people. And, that's why I always say when you vote, think of George Floyd. Think of Ruth Bader Ginsburg when you vote this year in November. Instead of thinking about yourself and me, and what's in it for me. And I think that's what politicians want us to do. They want us to be selfish, and they want us to be a part. But, Donald Trump gave money to his rich friends. Amazon.com did not pay, their taxes last year. And they probably won't pay their taxes this year. You should be angry that these corporations don't pay taxes. You should be angry. You should be angry that Walmart gets federal funds every year, and they're $1 billion corporation. Why should Walmart get federal funds every year? They're the ultimate welfare queen. Instead of bad-mouthing people of color who get welfare, and welfare for the poor is only 5%, why don't you complain and say, why are we giving money 50% to the military? Why are we giving 50% of our tax dollars to the military and only 5% to poor people? But it's poor people we put down. It's poor people that, get a job, you bum. Go to work. But people are on welfare for different reasons. They're not on welfare because they want to be on welfare. Because they don't make enough welfare to meet the cost of living. I've been on welfare. And I didn't make enough money to pay my rent. Barely to get food. Because it doesn't meet the cost of living. And, it's not like poor people say, well, I'm going to be on welfare when I grow up. Well, I'm going to be a drug dealer when I grow up. I'm going to be a prostitute when I grow up. Poor people ain't thinking about that. They have dreams and hopes and stuff like anyone else. But they don't have the resources to get to those hopes and dreams. So welfare is just, a temporary to get to where they want to get to. And there are a lot of jobs in poor neighborhoods that aren't there. They're not there no more. They moved to other countries. So, people would be empathetic to the poor and realize that only 5% go into welfare for the poor, and we put 50% into the military. And Amazon.com didn't pay their taxes last year, and they probably won't pay their taxes this year. Maybe we'll have empathy towards poor people. 5%. There's welfare. There's welfare states around the world, and it's the right thing to do to help people. If you're such a Christian, it's to help poor people is the right thing to do. 5%. 5%. No one should complain about 5%. So what I wanted to talk about, and maybe I'm just meandering on, is that the Trump turds vote against their own interests. Here's a person, Bernie Sanders, who is giving them the best deal that they'll ever get, and they vote for an authoritarian like Donald Trump. Because they shoot their own foot, the Trump turds. Because they believe that Bernie Sanders is a Marxist. And they don't do their homework, and they watch Fox News, and they read Breitbart, and they listen to Rush Limbaugh, and they're always going to vote against their own interests. They're always going to vote against their own interests. And there's nothing you could do about it. I mean, if you talk to a Trump turd, it goes in one ear out the other. Because, like I said many times before, they drank too much of the Kool-Aid. They drank too much of the Kool-Aid. And talking to a Trump turd is like talking to a 5-year-old. And I know I obsess myself with Trump turds, and maybe the good people are opposite of the Trump turds. And I think the best thing about the American future is that the American people educate themselves. Read Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States. I got a copy of the book, but I can't grab it right now. But it's Howard Zinn, People's History of the United States. Read that. And there's a lot of other good books you could read. That can really get you into reality about America's history. Because we need to know American history before we repeat it. And I think there are a lot of good American people, but they need to be educated. You need to educate yourself. If Malcolm X can do it in prison, and you're not in prison, then you can do it in the suburbs or wherever you live. If Malcolm X can educate himself and uplift himself, why can't you? Why can't you read books? Instead of watching the game and feeding your face, read a book. Read a book. Go to the library after this pandemic and read some books. And the more you read, the more empathetic you are towards other people. Reading breeds empathy. So I want people to vote by, November 3rd. And I want people to vote for the right reasons. And don't vote out of your fears, but vote out of love and empathy towards everybody. So I apologize for my anger about Ilhan Omar, and I hope you understand. And I'll see you when I see you.